What is up? Hear Me Out Sports. Welcome back to QB's Week 10. Let's run it. All right, QB's Week 10. But before we jump to 10, you know what we got to do? We got to review 9. Week 9, we are at 84.62%. If I'm not mistaken, this might be my highest week yet. So that was pretty good. Some of the hits, man. We had Justin Fields up there. We finally got him. I thought he was going to do good last week. He did look good last week. And I didn't start him, so that was a bit unfortunate. But here we are, correcting our mistakes. Started him this week, and man, did it pay off. Geno Smith we had up there. Lamar Jackson, we said sit him. And guess what? He was a sit. He didn't get that 19 points. He still did well, but it was all good. Misses, we got Taylor Heineke, Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence. All these guys were capable of breaking that threshold. So they're kind of those middle floaters where they could break it, they could not on any given week. Kind of doesn't really matter their opponent. It just is more what happens on that day. Some of those close calls, again, works with us, works against us. But Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, and Derek Carr, some of those guys were right on 19 points. Some were 19.1. Just real close, right? Now, we are going to jump into Week 10 buys. We're going to get you through this video pretty quick so you can get on your way and start setting up your lineup for this Thursday night football game. Week 10 buys, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. So you're sitting Joe Burrow. New England Patriots sitting Mac Jones. New York Jets sitting Zach Wilson. And Baltimore Ravens sitting Lamar Jackson. This is kind of a big hit. Two of these guys are pretty decent starters, especially in double quarterback leagues. And all four of these guys are at least able to get consistently in double digits. Mac Jones maybe being the one excluded from that group, if any of them. But it's kind of a big hit. So we'll try to help you out as we cover each week, or as we cover each game. We'll try to help you out, tell you which guys we think you could use to replace some of these guys on bye. So right now we got Falcons versus Panthers for Thursday Night Football. I'm not expecting this to be a pretty good game, so I've got all these guys in the sit column. Marcus Mariota, he's a bit of a fringe for me. Carolina, we saw last week that their run defense needs some work. And consider the fact that the Falcons are they're built around the running game with Cordero Patterson and Tyler Algier. I think that those two are going to have a heyday, and it's not going to free up a lot of space for Marcus Mariota to use what he has. The only thing that I would say about this is that Marcus Mariota also can get his ground game points on the board as well, including touchdowns, which are usually more points than throwing touchdowns. So maybe that's the upside. Last game against Carolina, he did put up over 22 points, so it's definitely possible. We'll see how he uses his targets there. On the other side, we got the Panthers. Man, what a rough situation here with the quarterback. PJ Walker, right now he's named the starter. Now, whether he starts and plays through the whole game, that's a whole nother story. I predict that he might suck again and then be replaced by Baker or even Sam Darnold, who they're itching to get back on the field as well. And listen, if any of these guys play half a game, it's way too hard to score over 19 points. So that's going to have them both in the sit column. Now, heading over now to Sunday with Seattle Seahawks versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Geno Smith, had him in the start column the last couple weeks. He's 5 for 9 on the season, and he actually has slowly proven himself. When the season started out, I was not believing him at all. I had no hope, no faith, nothing. Now, I start him some weeks, I sit him some weeks. He had the last couple weeks are pretty good for him, but he is facing a tougher Tampa Bay defense here. So, with that being said, I don't know for sure how he's going to perform, and I think it's just going to be a low-scoring game overall. So, given that, I have him in the sit column. Tom Brady, again, low-scoring game means not a lot of points for either of these guys. He's only broken that threshold 2 of his 9 weeks he's played. He does have a safe range, though, and the attempts are there. The ratio's there. He has 10 touchdowns to his 1 interception, but he just seems to come up short, and he comes up short against the Seattle defense as well, who only allows 18 points to opposing quarterbacks. Minnesota versus Buffalo. Kirk Cousins, he is 3 for 8. He is, again, one of those guys who's in a good safe range and could break the threshold on any given week. It just kind of depends on what happens. I think he needs to take a script from the book of Las Vegas. They just happen to absolutely target Devontae Adams and pretty much only target Devontae Adams. I think they need to half implement this with Justin Jefferson, and he might be able to see some more success. But Buffalo's defense is just too good. They're number 3 overall, only allowing shy of 13 points per game to opposing quarterbacks. So for that, I've got him in the sit column. Buffalo Bills. Kind of depends on how Josh Allen is doing with injury. So keep your eye on that. He is super capable. If he's limited, though, in any fashion, then I don't know if I want to start him. It might just be one of those low-scoring games. Case Keenum, I think he'll have the targets there as far as you hit your guys, and Stephon Diggs can do the rest for you. But I don't think he's going to break that threshold. He will still be a good option, though, if you need him. Lions versus Bears. This is going to be my matchup of the week. Jared Goff, he is very capable of breaking that threshold. He has shown it, especially at the beginning of the season. But seems like the Lions get figured out after halftime, and that's not a good thing to have. Chicago, Justin Fields, he's doing good. He seems to be getting most of his points on some of this ground game, and considering the fact that Aaron Rodgers had a lot of rushing yards against the Lions compared to the rest of his team, I think that maybe Justin Fields can have that same heyday. Detroit Lions give up over 21 points per game to opposing quarterbacks, so I think that he's just a start for this game. Broncos versus Titans. Russell Wilson, I think, absolutely sucks, so I'm sitting him in every single league I have. He is 1 for 7 so far in the season. It's just not a high-scoring offense, not high octane. I don't like that offense at all for any points from anyone. And I think it's just going to be a low-scoring game all around because Tennessee, they usually have flashes of brilliance, but nothing much. So for that, I'm also going to bench Ryan Tannehill, who there's some injury concern there. He might be playing through some pain, or Malik Willis, who just has not proven that he's done good. And that's all against a number 1 ranked Denver defense against the quarterback. We'll head on over to Kansas City, where we've got the Jaguars versus Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence, I almost sat him this week. We're going to start him, though. I think he's just got a favorable matchup against Kansas City, who is giving up 20 points per game to opposing quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence, he definitely has the ability, and he has some decent targets there. And I think that this could turn into a high-scoring game. And I don't think the Jaguars are in a position to rely too heavily on their run game. So that means that they're going to have to pass. Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes, he's just a constant start, consistently good, and I think it's going to be a competitive game. So I think it could be a good follow-along to his great Week 9. Browns versus Dolphins. Jacoby Brissett got in the sit column again, 1 for 8, not great. Not a lot of attempts going his way. He's got 7 TD passes on the season, but he has 5 interceptions going along with that, which is not a good ratio. Miami, they give up lots of points, though, so that is the one upside. Tua, Miami, listen, they also score a lot of points. They give up a lot, but they score a lot, and that actually plays in their favor because that means they can't just run out the clock, right? He has 3 TDs and 300 yards in the last couple games, which is phenomenal. If you can have that consistently, then you're going to easily break that 19 points, no problem. But it is a tougher defense here, going against the number 10 ranked QB defense in Cleveland Browns. Moving on to New York, where we got the Giants versus Texans. Davis Mills is a sit, continue to be a sit, and I don't see him ever being a start, really. So I'm just not going to cover that too much. Giants, Daniel Jones. I think that the Giants have been a bit overrated and that their record actually shows way better than they are. He's only 2 for 8 on breaking that threshold. I don't think they're a great offense. I think he is a safe-ish option because he does average 16.16 points. But Houston's defense, they're number 5 overall. They only allow about 13 points per game to opposing quarterbacks, so they can stifle his points right there. Saints versus Steelers. Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston. Andy Dalton, I believe, is going to start. We'll see if they ever switch it up. I think that this is one of those fringe games where he could break the 19 points, but I think he'll just be below it. He's only had 1 really good game so far, and there's just no clear QB1 in my mind. Either one of these guys could be swapped out in the middle of the game. So I do think they have a favorable matchup, though, against Pittsburgh Steelers, who are in the bottom 4 as far as QB defenses go. Pittsburgh, they have just terrible QB options there in Pittsburgh. You got Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky. Yeah, I don't like choosing from those two. Colts versus Raiders. Sam Ehlinger has been very unimpressive. Just, again, more terrible QB options here. You either got the old guy or the new guy, and both seem to be scoring about the same amount. He averages 7.28 points per game and still somehow remains the QB1, so not great at all. The only favorable side of this is that Vegas, they give up lots of points. Now we got On the other side, Raiders, Derek Carr, he's a sit for me. I think that he's another one of these fringe guys. He was making some decent connections to Devontae Adams, but I think he might be overloading Devontae Adams and needs to spread it around in order to get the defense to stay honest. So until he can figure out how to use all his targets there, I don't have him in the start column. Cowboys versus Packers. Dak Prescott in the sit column again. Think he'll have a good game though in this matchup. He was very efficient in Week 8 against the Bears, but he's going against a number 4 ranked Green Bay Packers defense who gives up shy of 13 points per game. On the Packers side, Aaron Rodgers continues to be unimpressive. Wow, I cannot speak today. Forgive me. He still can't get anything going. There's clear frustration. If you watched that game last week, man, he was just not happy at all, and you could tell he was not happy. And they're going against a better defense this week in the Dallas Cowboys than they did last week against the Lions. So I don't think he's going to be able to have more success there. Cardinals versus the Rams. Kyler Murray is injury dependent. And when I say injury dependent, that's not if he's hurt or not. It's if he is healthy enough that he can go without any limitations, then yes, I say start him. But if there is any sort of limitations and you can tell that he might be favoring a certain leg or whatever, the hamstring slowing him down, then I sit him. Anyone else who might be filling in that spot, also sitting him. Rams, we got Matthew Stafford, who just hasn't been super impressive on the year either. He's 1 for 8 on the season, breaking our threshold. And it's just not the same Stafford. He's too heavy on Cooper Kupp and coming off of a concussion, so we'll see if he's cleared. It sounds like he might not be, and in that case, I would also sit back up there, John Wolford. Chargers versus the 49ers, Justin Herbert. He's one who I want to start, but given the last few weeks that he's kind of let us down, I have him in the sit column. All his starting receivers seem to be hurt, out for whatever reason, and he's only 1 for 4 in the last 4 weeks. He's got a tough matchup against the 49ers, who only allow 14.7 points per game to opposing quarterbacks. And I am going to start Jimmy G again, and I think that this is going to bite me in the butt. So this is not like a strong start here, okay? I'm forewarning you all. I think that he might score closer to 17 points, but given the matchup, given that it could be a competition, and just seeing that he has all his healthy targets with Deebo Samuel back at practice, he's got Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey. Like that's a pretty stacked receiving core. So I am going to have him in the start column for that reason alone. The key is if they rely heavier on the passing or on the running. Now, this takes us into Monday Night Football, where I have Taylor Heineke in the sit column. He is 1 for 3 right now on breaking that threshold. He does have a decent range, though, through those 3 weeks. So, again, someone who might look at if you're really hurting for another quarterback. But they're going against a tough Philadelphia defense here. They're ranked number 2 overall, only allowing 11.5 points per game to opposing quarterbacks. So they could really take away from Taylor Heineke's ceiling right there. And I think that the one upside here is that the Commanders are probably going to have to rely heavily on the pass, just because it's going to be one of those comeback games where Philadelphia is going to get a lead and get a lead early, and then that it's going to rely on them to come back from that. So that is the upside. On the Eagles side, Jalen Hurts, listen, he's a set and forget. He's a plug and play. Like it's really no problem, concern, or anything else. So with that wraps us up. Again, trying to keep these videos short for you guys all, so you can set up your lineup and get out there and have a heyday out in the field this week and do pretty dang well in your Week 10 games. If you have any questions or concerns or anything, hit us up in Twitter, hit us up in Instagram, and we'll reply to you guys. Try to help you out, win your leagues. And again, this is us. Hear Me Out Sports. He covers the running backs and receivers. I cover the quarterbacks and tight ends, and we're just here to try to get you as many points as possible. Let us know if you have any questions that you want covered. We do offer a streaming option where we'll hop on Twitch and let everyone listen in on our gaming. We usually choose Warzone, but we can answer some football questions there as well. Like, comment, subscribe, comment specifically, because when we screw up, we pay out to our followers. So if we're giving you guys bad advice, that's on us. So we feel obligated to give out money in that case. And we typically look at comment section first. So comment below. And with that, we're logging off here at Hear Me Out Sports.